Hello, today we're going to take a quick look at a Blackboard class online, and I'm going to be showing you my computer illustration course. Now click on that. The first thing you're going to see is announcements page. That way, if you have anything to announce to your students, that will be the first thing that they will see when they log in. You notice here that I have an animated banner. You do not have to have an animated banner. You can just put an image up there, but know that you do have that ability. Over here on the navigation panel, this is the most important area for the students. You'll notice that there's not a lot of buttons there because I like to keep things plain and simple. We'll begin with a Start Here button because this is where all of the course information is located at. You click on that. There's a site tour. It's just an image of all these buttons over here besides the class blog. I've added that in since this was taken. And then there's a little summary about each one. Next, you will see instructor contact information and hours. And notice I have online information and face-to-face information. And then the next thing we'll look at is student support and Blackboard help. That's basically an image that just shows them to click up here. And then we go into course information, and you see on these two folders, since they have a lot of items in there, I've bulleted that out so a student doesn't have to actually click on that to see everything that's in there. They can just read it here on the outside and know which folder to click on. We have the course syllabus, what is expected. That's just a little brief about what I expect them to do each week, and then how each Monday at 10 p.m. their assignment is due. I do that for all of my classes. Again, just for consistency. I also tell them that no late work is accepted, and then I make sure that they understand that because I have that in red. Then we have the assignment calendar, and as you can see, this is just pretty cut and dry. I took this from Microsoft Outlook and put in the most important information about when assignments were due. Next is the discussion board grading criteria. I use discussion boards in all of my classes, and here is basically exactly what I'm expecting from them and how they will be graded on the discussion board. Then the textbook information, I put this out on there without them having to click on that because it's one of the first things they're going to be looking for. This information is also in their syllabus, but I pulled that out because, again, that's one of the first things they're going to be looking for. Technical requirements, I have that on here because it's the minimum requirements for the hardware that they would need in order to run software, because this is a software-driven class. And then etiquette guidelines, just a little write-up telling them how to communicate online and how that is so much different than communicating face-to-face, and to be aware of that. The next folder has program information in there, and that is basically to tell them like where our computers are located, our checklist, there's a slideshow presentation, application for SEC, and that's because we have a lot of students that come and take our classes that are not from here, but they may want to take our program, so we want to make sure we give them that information. This is the most helpful folder, the how-to folder, and I am continuously adding stuff to this each time I teach this class. But a lot of these files are very useful in all of my classes, and I do duplicate them or copy them over. How to upload a file to Blackboard, schedule an advising appointment. This is a PDF I created just to help students walk them through how to create an appointment with me. And then we have how to save multiple files. You know, you can see all the different ones through here. A lot of them, like I said, I can use in all classes. Some are more specific, like this is more specific to Illustrator. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to look at is, well, this down here doesn't, it doesn't really apply, but I threw that in there because I had some students needing those files, but it's a good place to put files, the Start Here folder, because nothing else really relates to having that kind of information in it over here. I have assignments tab will be our next one we're going to look at, and other than the pen tool exercises that I have pulled out here, I have those pulled out of a chapter folder because I want them to see those I want them to always have access to that, so I have those up there. But other than that, everything else is in chapter folders, and you'll notice how they're very consistent in the text and the formatting of them. Like I highlight the due date, and in red I tell them that each week they're going to see a chapter folder open up, a new one, and that within each folder is going to be all of the assignments that they need to do for that chapter. So once they get done with that chapter, they know that they are complete. They have everything finished. I don't like putting things out in a test folder, an assignment folder, and a discussion folder, and a project folder or whatever. It's just the less navigation the student has to do, the easier it is on them, and in the long run, the easier it'll be on you. So you click on chapter, you notice that I have the resources here for them, notes, presentation, videos for them to watch, and then we get into their projects and their discussion board. Now this is a link. See, it's a link by the little chain here. I link the discussion board in here because I tell them everything that I want them to do for that chapter is in that chapter folder. So I put the discussion board there just so that they can go down through there and say, okay, I've read all the resources, I've did the project, and I've did the discussion board. And they can kind of mentally check that off and know that they're done for that week. When they click on this, it's going to take them to the same place that this discussion board link is going to take them. I put this link out here on the navigation tab because some students may just be coming into the class just to work on the discussion board. That way they don't have to go through assignments, chapter 1, and click on the discussion board. It's much easier access for them. Alright, and then the next thing is talk to instructor, and that's basically just email, and it's email to me. That's why it's called talk to instructor. We're going to create a message, and then click on to here, and it will be a drop-down list of all the students' names and my name. So they can email students if they want to. Generally they don't, and then they could just email me. My grades is for the students. That tab's put there for them so that they can go look at their grades. Of course, I don't have grades, so I can't see anything. And then the last thing is just a class blog, and it's something that I'm working on doing in the future with my class. And it's just going to be a place for them to go and talk to each other about the class and things that they like, don't like, problems they're having, or basically anything they want to do. It's kind of like the side talks that you have going on in a real face-to-face class. And that pretty much wraps up my class. I hope this is helpful, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.